The Well of Silence. Listen closely, folks. I've got a story that'll keep you awake all night long. It's not made up. It's true. Or at least that's what this Brazilian guy I met a few years ago claimed. It happened in a village called Rio Verde back in the 90s. There was this well. Not some cute little thing with a rickety roof and a rusty bucket. No, this was a black charred hole in the ground, as though carved from something dead. Nobody knew who'd built it or when, but everyone in the village whispered the same thing. It's alive, and not just alive, hungry. Everything began with the sounds. Picture yourself walking past at night, crickets chirping, everything calm, and then cries. Soft, childlike, cutting straight to your core, or dull thuds like someone dropping stones far beneath. But if you approach closer, there's nothing, only silence, so dense it presses against your eardrums, making the air feel solid. Locals swore it was the spirits of the lost trapped underground. Others suspected something worse, something deceptive. Two 17-year-old troublemakers, Jake and Matt, dismissed these tales as superstition. Always getting into mischief, they wagered they'd descend the well and disprove its legend. Armed with flashlights, ropes, and a few knives, just in case, they set out under a moonless sky. They laughed, joked about hauling ghosts out by their collars. When dawn broke, they were gone. The entire village searched frantically. Dogs, torches, calls for their names. Nothing. The well stood mute, seeming to have swallowed them whole. A week later they resurfaced. Found 50 kilometers away in an untouched forest, they sat back to back, unharmed, yet deeply changed. Jake trembled uncontrollably, refusing to speak, while Matt gazed blankly ahead. Eventually, Jake scratched onto paper. The silence took us, but it released us. Matt, when urged to explain, erupted into a guttural scream before falling silent once more. Beyond that, they offered no explanation. Afterward, the villagers sealed the well with earth and stone, but rumors persisted of whispers drifting from beneath on dark nights. A few years passed until a stubborn farmer named Tom decided he wouldn't tolerate such mysteries. Trusting only tangible evidence, he armed himself with a shovel and lantern, venturing to the buried well one evening. Digging shallowly, he unearthed an unsettling scent, neither decay nor moisture, but something acidic and living, akin to breathing. Soon after, he detected a soft scraping sound, as if something slithered across the stones. Then he spotted it. The rope Jake and Matt had left behind, mangled and chewed upon. Tom fled, abandoning his tools in terror. Later that night, Tom's wife awoke to strange footsteps. Her husband stood at the window, clad only in his nightshirt, muttering, "It's calling me back. It wants me to return." Despite her efforts to rouse him, Tom remained distant, staring beyond her. By morning, he'd vanished. 2 days later, search parties discovered him in the same forest where the boys had reappeared. Unlike them, however, Tom hadn't survived. His corpse lay mutilated, arms severed, ribs exposed, flesh flayed open. Worst of all was his face, eyes gouged out, mouth frozen in a silent scream. Surrounding him hung a deathly hush, void of even the slightest breeze. After Tom's gruesome end, nobody dared venture near the well again. Yet, despite the fear, curiosity lingered. One evening, a young hunter named Michael stumbled upon the site while returning from a hunt. Though skeptical, he couldn't ignore his dog's panicked behavior. As they approached the well, the dog froze, hackles raised, its gaze fixed on the yawning pit. Michael, intrigued, drew closer, sensing an oppressive weight in the air. Every breath felt labored, as if the atmosphere itself resisted him. Michael aimed his flashlight downward, revealing walls coated in viscous slime and roots snarled around the edges. Suddenly, movement caught his eye, a shadow shifting in the depths. Heart pounding, he stepped backward, preparing to flee, but his foot struck a loose stone, sending him sprawling forward. The flashlight tumbled into the abyss, leaving him blind in the darkness. As Michael scrambled to regain his bearings, he glimpsed a monstrous silhouette rising from below. Slowly, deliberately, it ascended toward the surface. With a final desperate effort, Michael cried out, but the sound died in his throat. The last sensation he experienced was a bone-chilling growl echoing from within the well. Michael's body was never recovered, but several days later, his terrified dog was found skulking near the forest's edge. Beside her lay a fragment of the broken flashlight, a grim reminder of her master's fate. Since then, the village has avoided the forest entirely. Whispers of the Well of Silence persist, passed down through generations as a cautionary tale. On certain nights, ominous sounds still drift from the woods, though none dare investigate their source. The well remains, patiently awaiting its next victim, or perhaps already plotting its escape.